Good evening. Our top story this week. 27 people, including 20 children, are now dead after a psycho walks in and starts shooting up a school in Connecticut before killing himself. In Arizona, the state is planning on cutting the budget on key services that would help parents get their kids back in an effort to keep kids in foster care for longer, including cutting the contracts with private agencies that supervise visitations with the parents. And the Federal Trade Commission is warning that the mobile apps designed for children are collecting information and sharing data without parental consent. In Maine, it has been suggested that the governor replace the DHHS commissioner after a $100 million shortfall in the agency is discovered. In Florida, the child protective industry implements a new child abuse hotline, which was prompted by the death of an adopted 10-year-old girl a couple years back. Florida is also vowing to stop warehousing sick foster kids in geriatric nursing homes. And the U.S. Senate passes a bill called the Child Protection Act of 2012, which would supposedly protect child pornography and sexual abuse victims by strengthening law enforcement's ability to apprehend the culprits. The number of child abuse reports in the United States have dropped again for the 5th straight year, and abuse-related child deaths are also at a 5-year low, except in Colorado, where CPS agents can't figure out how to protect all of the kids who keep dying every year, or in Virginia, where the system sucks at criticizing judges for not being tough enough on child abuse after claiming that not enough of these cases are prosecuted. But in Pennsylvania, the state is bragging about lowering the number of foster kids by 1,800 by using family preservation programs, yet still they seize a newborn simply because the mother questioned the necessity of vaccination. In Ohio, the Attorney General is recommending that a group be formed to take a look at better ways of keeping kids in foster care safe. This in the wake of several shocking child deaths in the state's foster care system, and they're even planning on listening to some of the complaints from foster kids who only want a semi-normal life, including the ability to spend the night with friends or go to the movies with classmates. In Utah, it's a rare win for a real father after his kid was adopted out from under him, and the court orders the adoptive family to hand over custody to him. And it has been claimed that Microsoft is planning to report kids to the Child Protective Services for swearing over their Xbox Live system. In Ireland, a delay in the trial of a kid who threatened to slice the throat of his social worker caused them to drop the whole thing. In Canada, a child welfare worker tells an inquiry into the death of Phoenix Sinclair that her supervisor altered her assessment of the little girl. In England, the BBC ends up paying out £185,000 over the false sex abuse allegations against Lord McAlpine, and now he's suing the wife of the Commons Speaker over a tweet she had made, but she is denying that anything she said was libelous. Reports of child abuse hysteria are growing in the UK in light of the Jimmy Savile pedophile investigation, as the number of reported incidents of child abuse increased significantly, and British social workers are worried that the government's plans to speed up the adoption process would lead to pedophiles slipping through the net. British social workers are also crying about all of the work they're piling onto themselves and start preaching new strategies to help avoid burnout, even though new British social workers are finding little or no time for training, according to a new study. A British care home worker gets 22 years for sexually abusing 3 schoolgirls over a period of 13 years. And Scotland Yard is investigating allegations that senior politicians abused kids in the 1980s and used their connections to escape justice. In entertainment news this week, MTV's Teen Mom star Janelle Evans reveals that CPS agents played a part in her losing custody of her son. Charlie Sheen's ex-wife is claiming that CPS agents barged in and tore up her house looking for drugs the night following her overdose. A 4th victim comes forward accusing Sesame Street's Elmo of child sexual abuse. Modern Family star Ariel Winter's sister is keeping custody of her for now, and her father will now be handling her personal finances. And in sports, Penn State University is claiming that the fallout over the Penn State sex abuse scandal starring Jerry Sandusky has costed them $83 million. In Florida this week, a worker at a juvenile detention facility is arrested for savagely beating a 15-year-old girl in front of a camera. The actions of a Florida foster parent are being investigated after an incident regarding a newborn at a hospital where hospital staff contacted a family who wanted to adopt without telling CPS. The trial of a Florida foster mother who is accused of killing a little girl who disappeared 10 years ago continues, with the foster mom being portrayed as a habitual liar. The girl's older biological sister attends the trial, and she says that she wishes that she could have met her sister before she died but couldn't because they were living in separate foster homes. In California, a foster father is arrested for shaking a 5-month-old baby to death. In Georgia, police arrest a 13-year-old girl after finding her baby buried in a box. In New York, 2 former CPS agents are arrested for falsifying records after logging visits that they never made to abused or neglected children. In Michigan, the Wayne County Jail agrees to an $8 million settlement regarding a 14-year-old girl who lacked critical oxygen when they failed failed to bring her incarcerated mother to the hospital while she was giving birth to her. In Michigan, a newborn now has to go through a year of HIV and hepatitis testing after the hospital accidentally switches two babies and one of them was breastfed by the wrong mother. In Mississippi, a judge blasts a CPS agent who sided with the mother and a sex offender in a case involving the custody of a 3-year-old girl. And in Nevada, a grandfather is blasting the school who suspected abuse yet let the kid go home anyway without investigating on the day the kid was later beaten to death. In Washington, a former foster kid is arrested for breaking into a home and stealing Christmas presents. 6 kids who were sexually and physically abused in a Tacoma, Washington foster home wins an $11 million settlement against the child protective industry. In Oregon, 2 kids who suffered abuse in a foster home are suing that state for $8 million. And finally, tonight in Ohio, a CPS agent will not return to work until an investigation is complete after a cop issues him a summons for disorderly conduct regarding an incident where a mother did not want her kids to go live with another family members, and the CPS agent didn't have a court order to make it happen and instead stood there yelling at her. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.